Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Urban Root Worker, and I hope you guys are having a good day, morning, evening, night, whichever time of the day it is. First, before I get into this short series, I just want to let everybody know that this is something that that I wanted to share with you guys because you're my online family, and if you're part of the Urban Root Worker family, then you should know about these things. Also, it may help you in your own personal life. You may hear some things or find out some things that you should look for as well. But anyway, I want to let you guys know that everything that I'm getting ready to tell you is all factual, all facts. I've struggled with this to see if I was going to even speak on this or if I was just going to keep it to myself. But I see and I've been through a lot of interesting things. And I think that it's now time that I get those things out here. So welcome to my new thing that I'm going to start doing here on the regular sometimes. It's story time with the Urban Root Worker. Also, understand I still got that work. Let's not get it twisted. The work is definitely working. It's ready and available. We got some new stuff that I'm working on as well, but everything is still hot on the shelf and ready to go. So you guys contact me when needed. But anyway, as you can see in the title, yes, someone tried me as well. She tried it. And it's so let's start from the beginning. A few years back, I'm out, at an outing, just kicking it, having a good time with, some of my family, and we just out kicking it. You know how it is. You're somewhere and you may see attractive ladies or whatnot, or for the ladies, you may see an attractive gentleman, and you guys converse, exchange numbers, whatever it is. You get to know the person. Bam, there you go. So anyway, on this particular night, we run into a group of ladies, and we're all kind of conversing, having a good time, whatever the case is. And this particular woman wasn't usually my type. I'm from the south side of Chicago, for anybody that doesn't know. So I'm from the hood, but see, my life as a root worker is very separate from my life as a regular person. They don't coexist. They don't coexist at all. If you ever had a chance to know me personally, you would understand that they is totally different. So my type from this type was a little bit different, from something that I was looking for. She was more of a kind of corny, kind of the dorky kind, but pretty. She was attractive. And that's not usually the type that I go for, kind of the dorky kind. But in this sense, I said, hey, you know what? Let me try something different. Maybe it'll even me out, whatever it is. Let me just see what's up. I was just coming out of a long-term relationship, and that was ending or whatever, and I was a free man. So I kind of just was doing me. So anyway, bear with me. Like I said, it's going to be a series, so I'm going to go through, as many as details as I can. So anyway, um, to begin, honestly, I wasn't even the first one to even talk to her. We were kind of all kind of talking amongst each other, filling each other out, seeing who is feeling who and this and that. Me, if anybody knows me, I'm a ladies man. So I'm conversing with kind of everybody, but my cousin, he tried to kind of talk to her, whatever, first, and I kind of was out of the way, and I kind of was just in the background, was kind of doing my thing, whatever. But she wasn't feeling any of them. She let that be known, and at the end of that night, that I'm the one who stuck out, and she wanted to talk to me. So we began to talk. Long story short, she didn't even live in my state. She lived out of state. She would drive out this way, or sometimes whatever the case is, and we, will hook up, kick it, whatever. And I guess that was enough for her to really want to make the move, where she moved from where she was at to move here. And in that sense, she was very aggressive about, getting me, about having me. She was very aggressive. And some of you women, that you might not agree with that. You might say that, oh, well, the woman shouldn't chase the man or whatever. But what I say is that, look, I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes it's a turn on to be chased. Just a little bit. This is 2025. Things are a little bit different. I like to see that type of assertiveness in a woman. Not overly. I did kind of see that it was a little bit overly sometimes. And I know that looking now in hindsight, that should have been a red flag. But, nevertheless, I just kind of figured to myself, like, hey, she ain't never ran across nobody like me before. This is something new for her, and she just don't know how to act, which is true. She was used to dealing with wimpy, simpy guys. Nothing like me. I'm from the streets. I got edge. I done seen a lot, done a lot of different things, and this was intriguing to her. I was kind of a bad boy in a sense. I've completely changed a lot of my ways now that I'm much older, but I was kind of a bad boy. It just is what it is, and I guess that type of aura is always going to be on me, and women, they like that. They like that. To this day, they do. So anyway, we hook up. In the beginning, I really never really wanted a relationship. I started to understand as time went on that I never could really fall for this woman like that. Just something wasn't clicking. And it was not as much as her not being my type. It was more so of just, it was a lot of inexperience in certain things. We come from way too different walks of life. So she wasn't relatable. She couldn't relate to a lot of things that I been through, or things that I tried to show her or teach her. I found myself doing a lot of teaching rather than, being in a relationship. But anyway, this is more so about, what happened, more so than, what type of relationship I had. So let me get into that. So anyway, as time goes on, we start to get a little bit closer. So, you know how that goes. She's coming to my place, or I go over to hers. And like I said, I keep myself as a root worker, very private, and it's a different life outside of relationship life. So whatever area I'm doing things, everything is isolated. Like a person would never know. They're not introduced to that. I don't bring that up. I don't talk about that at all. So they have no idea whatsoever on that. just in case some people's probably wondering, well, she was over there, then, did she find out about this or that? Do you guys talk about that? No. And I never use root work on people who I date either. I've only done that one time. If you go back to my old story about when I first started, and that was to get my ex back, but since then, I never do that. That's something that I never, ever do. So, like I said, the intriguing thing for me is that, she was different. We're from two different walks of life. She's not from the United States. Yes, she's African American, which, she's a how do you say that? She's black, but she's naturalized American now. So she wasn't born here. She's not from here. So anyway, time goes on, and I'm really saying to myself, we've been kind of bumping heads with certain things, a lot of certain things I just didn't like. And to sum it all up, in my mind, I'm saying, you know what, man, this really ain't for me. I want to move into a different direction. But for some reason, I just couldn't fall for her. And she would ask a lot sometimes, oh, do you love me and this and that? And I would always say, hey, look, if and when it ever comes to that, you'll be first to know. So anyway, I couldn't fall for her. I just never could. And I think she understood that. And why I'm saying that, you guys stay with me, is because that's key to, moving forward on things. So anyway, time goes on, and I make it up in my mind that I'm just never going to feel this certain way about this woman. I need to let her go. And so for some reason, I was never able really to, to come to the terms to fully break it off. I've tried, I've broke it off. I've told her whatever, I'm good and this and that. And it was always something that would happen or something that would go on that would make it necessary, like circumstances will make it necessary that, we come back around each other, we come back together. She has some stuff, like I said, I'm a good person. I got a big heart. I could be very evil and destroy you as well. But the other side to me is that I have a big heart, and I'm, caring, forgiving. I try to see the brighter side in everyone. And one thing that got me is that it's like, man, well, she's here, and, and she don't know anyone. She's not even from here. Like, I'm kind of like the only person like that, and, I'll feel bad if she's just out here alone, and, things happen, and things go on. So let me help out, in ways that I can help out. And that's kind of one of the things that always kind of, held me under for the most part. So the times where staying over at her place, I start to notice that, things were just, a little weird. The first sign that I had one time is that, I don't know if you guys ever have been through this, but if you have, you need to listen to this part. There were some times where I would be asleep. I'm saying when I'm sleeping in my home and I'm by myself, and it was almost as that she was able to try and break into my dreams, where I knew, even when I was sleeping, dreaming, I knew that she wasn't supposed to be in that dream. It was almost as that she broke into my dream. So I'm like, and this happened a couple of times, and it was real weird. When I wake up, something just didn't feel right. I said, I know in my heart's a heart that she was not supposed to be in that dream. It will be very weird. It will be like her something. It would be like okay, so like this. It can be a dream where I don't know, something weird. I can be doing 100 miles an hour in a Lamborghini down a road of gold streets and just cruising. And out of nowhere, she will pop up in the passenger seat and then pop out of the passenger seat. And I know that the way that happened, and it was happening, that something just was not right. My spirit was telling me that something was just wasn't right. I was getting a bad feeling. But like I said, when I'm dating or doing anything, the root worker me and everything else is on hold and it's on pause. I don't correlate the two at all. So my spirit guides and everything else could have been trying to talk to me and show me certain things, and I was not paying attention to it at that time enough. I wasn't paying attention to it. So moving forward, I know in my heart's a heart that I really don't want this woman. I don't want to be with her. But for some reason, I just am not being with her, if that makes any sense. Something was holding me hostage. And at first, I brushed it off as physical. I'm thinking like a man. I'm saying to myself, hey, well, maybe, that part of our relationship is good. The physical part. Maybe that's what I'm hanging on to. So I ain't gonna think too much in it. And part of that was kind of true, but not really, because in my past, there's been situations where I was still, cut off. I can cut someone off easily. I don't care how good the physicality is. It makes it a little bit harder, but I still would do it. But in this case, I just couldn't do it. And I knew that some of the character traits was bad. I didn't like. A lot of other things I knew I wouldn't like. This wasn't no one who I would really want to invest in long term. But for some reason, I couldn't get away from it. So in this part 1, before I wrap it up, how do I find out? Why do I think that something else is going on? So when they have a dream, well, before the dream, let's get to the other weird thing that happened. I'm at her place and we're asleep. And if you ever been at a significant other's or a lover's home and you're asleep in the bed and you guys are asleep and you wake up and they're looking at you, or you feel like someone's looking at you, I don't know if some of you guys may think that's cute and precious, but for me, it's weird and it gives me a weird feeling. For this, she would do weird things sometimes. Like I would catch her recording me, just on some acting like she's on social media or scrolling or something, but she's really just recording me, and it's not like I'm doing anything worth recording. I could be just watching TV, or I could be talking to her, or on the phone talking to my family or something, and she's recording me on camera. And I've called her a few times and I told her like, hey, I don't really like that. It's kind of weird. Just, holler at me, if you're trying to do a video or something. Like, I understand sometimes, your lover is going to snap, photos of you, whatever, and you ain't ready. That's what we do. I did the same thing to her only because she was doing it to me. I would snap photos of her not ready and stuff like that. And a few times I would wake up and this girl it seemed like she would not sleep. A lot of times I will get up and she would be staring right in my face with a weird look. And that used to just irk me to the point where I started sleeping with my back turned. With my back turned. And then one time I did that woke up and she was recording me from the back. So then I took it up another notch. I start sleeping with the blanket over my head. So now you get no act, you get no face, you get no back, you get nothing. And she started peeping that, and I told her, I said, "Hey, look, man, that's uncomfortable. Like, you gotta stop doing that. You know, I don't wake. You need to go to sleep. You know, stop. You know, staring at me when I'm sleeping and stuff like that. You know, it's giving a creep weird vibe. Stay with me, because all of this is going to make more and more sense as the series goes on." So anyway, that part kind of got nipped in the bud. You know, she stopped doing that as much. She really stopped doing that because I called her out on it, and she hates to be embarrassed. Like, she hates to get put on the spot. So I called her out on it, and she stopped that much. So, you know, one day also something that was kind of weird now that it makes more sense, you know, as the time went on. Well, let me get into that dream that I was talking about. I know I'm kind of all over the place. So one time I'm at my house and I have a weird dream. Like, the dream is not that long, but the only thing I can really remember is that I'm sitting on the couch. I'm in my bed. Now, when I'm having this dream, I'm at my house. But the dream takes place in her house, on her couch. I'm sitting there and the room is glowed in red. So it has a red glow around with a few candles that are lit. Nothing in them, nothing on them, whatever, just regular candles. And I'm sitting there, and there's another woman that I'm sitting there with, but this woman doesn't have a face. Till this day, I still don't know who the hell that woman is. This woman doesn't have a face. And I'm sitting there by the woman. And out of nowhere, the woman does like a creepy lay down. She lays to the right of me. And then out of nowhere, another woman rises up, and it's her. The woman that I was dealing with. She rises up, and her face is not turned to me yet. Her face and her neck is faced towards the wall, towards the TV, so it's facing straight. She turns left in like a very slow turn with her head left, and looks at me and doesn't say anything. And then the dream goes away, and I get up from that. At the time, I didn't know what the hell that meant. My spirits were, and everything else, angels and everything, were trying to talk to me and warn me that something was off about this woman, more than her just being corny and a dork and irritating. There's something else deeper going on, and they wanted me to pay attention. They wanted me to activate my extra to really see what's going on. I could have did a reading on her. I could have did some spiritual stuff. I could have, but when I tell you that I don't correlate the two, I mean just that. I don't correlate the two when I'm dating someone. I keep it 1,000% separate because I don't want any interferences. I want everything to be natural. So I didn't do any readings. I was going to have to take care of this because I have integrity. I was going to take care of this on my own at that time, at that point. So after that dream, I was a little weird, and I did tell her about it. I told her about that dream. And she said, "What? That is so creepy." And I said, "Yeah, you know, it is kind of weird. You know, because when I come to her house sometimes, because I have the key, I come to her house sometimes, and sometimes she don't answer her phone, or she don't know that I got there, and I come in, and sometimes, she'll be just sitting in the dark. She says she likes to meditate or whatever to get her, trying to distress herself. Okay, fine. Sometimes she has these certain tunes on, whatever. Okay, whatever. And she travels from back and forth sometimes here and there because her kids stays out of the country where she's from, and they go back. She goes back or whatever. She comes here and stuff like that. So often whatever. So anyway, I knew something was going on because the house, her place started to change as far as the energy wise. And this is how I'm going to wrap up part 1. One time she came back from visiting her mother and father and her kids from where she's from, and she came back, and she was back here in the States for about a week or so, and I came over there with my small nephew. And that particular night, me and her downstairs watching TV, whatever, just chilling, hanging out, and I hear him crying. He's upstairs crying, and he usually doesn't. At that time, he was 4 years old. So he's still in toddler stage or whatever, but he's a big boy. He wasn't scared of the dark or anything like that, because I always taught him, you're a boy, you're gonna be a man, you can't be scared of the dark. We kind of brought him up like that, so that never was the issue. And I didn't have him in the dark like that. I go upstairs, and he is crying. I go upstairs inside of the room, and he's crying. And I ask him, I say, what's going on? Why are you crying? He freaked me out. Look, I've seen things and I've been through certain stuff or whatever, but at that time, I have that part of me shut off. He's pointing in the closet. At this time, stay with me, people. At this time, I'm still oblivious to whatever could be going on and whatever that she might have be going on. Some of her items is in this particular room. This is not her main room, but this is one of the rooms. So we got a couple of items just scattered around, whatever. Nothing too obvious, whatever. He's pointing inside of the closet. I open the closet and I say, what's going on? But this is the freaky part. I kid you not. When I open the closet, his eyes, he gets more and more scared, like something ran out of the closet and was about to get him, but I was right there, so it didn't. His eyes is following this thing. Look, it's like this. I want to paint the picture for you. So it's like this. If you go over someone's place and they have a dog, and that dog is starting to come towards you aggressive, you're looking at the dog and you're running away, or maybe you might try to hide behind something. This is how he was doing. He started climbing on me, hide behind me, pointing to this, whatever it was. He's pointing, it's coming out of the closet, and he's pointing to it out into the hallway. At that time, like, what the fuck is going on? Maybe he had a bad dream. He is 4 years old. He had a bad dream. So I move him from that room and I move him into the hall. It's like a hallway room. It's a big wide space. And I'm like, okay, we'll leave this light on. Let's move you to the, put the air mattress right there. Let's move you to the hallway. Go downstairs. She, is everything okay? Then yeah, he think he had a bad dream. 10 minutes later, he's crying again. This part right here is even weirder, because if anybody knows anything about demonic forces, they can take on different shapes and sizes. This is what you guys need to understand. You guys need to know as well. They take on different shape and sizes, so they can be anywhere from the height of hell, 1 foot, 2 feet to 10 feet, or however they want. I'm watching him point to this thing that's shorter than him. And then he raises his eyes and his face and he's looking up like this thing is shot up and shot somewhere. Because every time it seems like I come around, this thing is like fleeing away. So the spiritual side of me did start to activate. So I lay him right there and I tell him, hold on. I go into the rooms and I told her about this. I say, there's something weird is going on. Like I don't know if something might be going on in here or whatever the case is, but something is going on. She's a little scared and kind of freaked out. I go in the room, do what I do, a little bit of cleansing on the slide. They don't know, she didn't know anything about that. I do what I do. I can feel now the energy fleeing from out of that room and kind of hanging out in the house like it's a little bit hiding. It, whatever it was, started to run to her room. It ran to her room because when I picked him up and we went to her room, he was still pointing and kind of looking around in that room. It got to the point where she was so afraid. Because I told her, I said, you know, I'm getting ready to take him home. We're not going to stay here tonight because I can't have him here upset. I'm getting ready to go. We're leaving. And she was afraid to the point where she didn't stay there either. She didn't come with me to my place or anything. I think she went to a hotel that night. She was afraid too. So, come to find out, before I end part 1, we start to talk a little bit about spiritual things now because of that happened. She admits to me that her family history has a history in hoodoo and voodoo. But she claims that her parents are Christians and they don't do those things, but some of their family and some of the people that they know from the island that she's from, that's what they teach. That's their first religion. So that's what they do. Okay? That was the biggest key to the beginning of everything. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to my part 1. Like, comment, and subscribe for part 2, which is I'll be dropping very soon. Peace.